Hi guys, Jason from JVA Carpe Adventures, and this week's vlog I'm going to cover that preparation you need for a fishing trip. I've got two 72-hour sessions coming up back to back next week, which I'm really looking forward to, but I've got to do fishing prep, so I thought I might cover it on this vlog. For now, let's run the intro. Alright guys, so probably one of the most important things is research. And you may have already done this before you've even booked your venue. But one of my venues I'm going for is Todburn Manor. So for me, I'm straight on to Google Todburn Manor, go to their website, look through their website first. I know I'm going on to Big Hayes, look through the Big Hayes. First thing is really look at their rules. Make sure you can comply with their rules and you're happy to. Great, okay. Then I might go to YouTube, look at dozens of videos, try and glean what people are using for bait, what sort of lake bed they've got there, is it silty, is it weedy, are there gravel patches, are there known spots, are there better swims than other swims. Look on Facebook, look on their Facebook page, look on their Instagram page. The more research you can do about the venue you are going to, the better guys. Really, number one thing will be research as much as you can about the place you're going to. Number two for me, obviously, now that I'm doing these YouTube vlogs, is going to be making sure I've got all the batteries to all my gear charged up. As you can see, there's loads. You've got your camera batteries, you've got your action camera batteries, you've got your drone batteries, batteries for your lights, that's your bivy light, your camera light, your head torches, charging of all your battery packs to charge your phone, your backup battery packs. There's so much stuff to charge when I go away. It's an absolute nightmare. I'm not going to lie, it's an absolute nightmare. But make sure you've got power for the duration of your visit. That's really important. Next, make sure you've checked the weather and you've got clothing that is adequate for your visit, and then take more clothing to be prepared for what you're not expecting. I always have a bag under the front seat in the van which has spare underwear, trousers, t-shirt, jumper. I've then got my previous set of thermal Navitas gear in there in case I need that. Whenever you're going away guys, be prepared for the unexpected. Always make sure you've got clothing fit for the occasion, whether it be hot or cold or a mix of both. Always be prepared for the rain because particularly in the UK it can come down at any time. So clothing is quite important guys. Then you come to the obvious things, food and drink. This is a little lot I'll be taking for my next trip. It's really important I have a big container for my water for the kettle. I have the smaller bottles that I like to keep in a Coleman sort of cooler block. I'll show you that, that's really good. And if you go into a place that you can't buy food, then you might want to take your food, in which case make sure you've got a way of keeping it cold for the duration of your visit. Obviously we're going to be going into the warmer months now, and I'll show you a couple of things I use. So I used to get those freezer blocks, and I used to use Untold freezer blocks, but I've kind of since realised that you're better off buying the slightly larger, like 500ml size bottles of water, freezing them and using them, because in a proper cooler facility they will still be frozen in 3 days. So they're a really good idea. If you've got like half a dozen of them or even a dozen of them, be really good. So now we've kind of covered pretty much the basics. There's a few other things. If you're going in your own vehicle, make sure you've checked things like tyre pressures, oil, water. I always make sure I do on my van, and it's good cause you don't want your fishing trip ruined by the fact you've broken down because you've overheated because you haven't topped up the water. Check the vehicle you're going in guys. Also, something that I used to use every single trip is I would make a list on my phone, and it's still on my phone today even though I tend not to use it as much, of everything I don't want to forget. So everything I require for my fishing trip, I would go through my list, and I'm going to read it out to you guys actually. So for short overnight fishing trips, my list says this: rods, alarms, cradles, nets, unhooking, mat, water bucket, brolly, mud mat, bed chair and a chair, table, cooker, gas, kettle, cooler bag, ice blocks, head torches, pee bottle, yeah I'll take a pee bottle, Crocs, wipes, heater and gas bottle, water for kettle, power bank, leads, coffee, spoon, cup, cooking set, ketchup, change of clothes, towel, coke, water, food, milk, rubbish bag, fishing towels, tripod. So that's just one of them. I've got another list: fishing prep, charge power backs, charge boat, charge fish finder, glug hook baits, sort out clothes, make up rigs, buy food, buy milk, set up rods, check batteries. You know, you do a list that's going to be good for you guys. The worst thing you want to do is turn up on the bank and realise you've left your net at home, or you've forgotten your landing mat, or whatever. I'm in a fortunate position now. I have 98% of my stuff all in the van, so I can't really forget anything. Well, I say that. I have taken mats out, washed them, hung them up in the shed, and forgotten to put them back in the van. So you can forget stuff, but for the majority of my trips, I've got pretty much all my stuff in the van. But for you guys that are loading up your vehicle or using your work vehicle or whatever, guys, it really do you good stead. Do yourself a little checklist of what you need to take. That way you won't be left hanging dry when you're on the bank. So now we move to bait. So I tend to go minimal bait at most places, to be fair. But for example, the trips I've got coming up at the end of this week, I do want to take spod mix. So tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, I will take out the amount of spod mix I need, soak it for 24 hours before then cooking it for half an hour. Make sure you always prep your spod mix well, guys. So that's the spod mix. I have actually got a load of Outlaw Pro stuff I'm going to be trialing next week, and that's probably not something I would recommend. I would probably recommend, if you're going to a new venue and a new place, make sure you go with tried and tested bait and rigs. But I am going to try this Outlaw Pro. I've got quite a bit of confidence in it. I haven't caught on it yet, but I've got a bit of confidence in it, so I'm going to try it. So the other thing I like to do is, because I tend to use solid PVA bags, I like to make quite a few. But I've been slightly changing that lately. I'm only using one rod on PVA bags at the minute, so I've only really been making 3. And that's because if I get to the lake and I decide I want to change what I've got in them, well, I've only made 3. I've already chucked one out, so I've only got 2 left. Whereas if I've made 6, 12 in advance, I've kind of already predetermined what I'm going to do, and that might not match with what I want to do on the lake. So I only make a few PVA bags. What I do tend to make a bit of now is mesh bags, particularly with crumb in the bottom or pure powder mix, basically, so that I can use them to safeguard a hook when I'm throwing it out. With the last ones I did were like crush at the bottom, 2 boilies with a bit more crush, and I've just been using that on the end of a hook. So I'll make sure my bait is set. Make sure you've got enough for the duration. A lot of places now have tackle shops on site, so yeah, of course, if you want to buy it when you get there, that's great. I like to be prepared before I get there though, if I'm honest. That said, I might be buying some 8mm pellets when I get to Todbar. Then we come down to your rigs. I generally use the multi-rig on most of what I stuff, and I've been using the Ronnie rig a bit lately as well. So pretty much most of my rigs will have new hooks on before I go away to a new trip. I'll make sure I've got plenty of hooks. I always have my sharpening kit, my Jag sharpening kit with me, so I know they're all good. Make sure you meet the requirements of the fishery, i.e. 42-inch landing net, make sure you've got one. A mat that needs to be 1 metre wide, make sure you've got it. Or a cradle, make sure you've got it. Make sure you meet the fisheries rules. You do not want to get thrown off site for, you know, when a bailiff comes round, does a rig check and find out you're using barbed hooks on a barbless site. So pay particular attention to that, guys. Also, you know, tubing, not tubing, leader, not leader. Make sure you look at the rules, guys, and you adhere to them. Okay, guys, so we've got to the day of our fishing trip. There's one more thing you probably should have done. That is set an alarm on your phone or whatever. Know your route you're going to be taking and how long it's going to take you to get there. What you don't want to be doing is waking up late, then trying to rush for gate opening time and start your trip off on a bad foot. Always give yourself plenty of time, guys, so you don't have to rush. You don't want a speeding ticket because you've been trying to rush to the fishery or something like that. So I hope this has been some good to you guys. I know I'm probably teaching you absolutely nothing, and I'm sure you all do all this anyway, or you do other things. If you've got other suggestions, guys, why not comment below, let everyone else know. I'm sure it'd be really handy. If you've enjoyed this sort of thing and you like this sort of thing, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have enjoyed it, give it the old thumbs up, the like, and if you want to be notified of future posts, hit that bell icon. Like I said, I do fishing trip vlogs, I do reviews, and I'm going to be doing a lot more bait making stuff as well. So subscribe, guys. Only leaves me to say, stay safe, stay fishing.